Welcome. Today we are diving deep into one of the most intense and structured agreements you'll find anywhere in ancient texts, the Sinai Covenant.
Okay, so before we get into the nitty-gritty, I want you to just imagine something for a second. Picture a contract where the stakes aren't just money or property, but national survival itself. What would the terms and conditions even look like? For the ancient Israelites, this wasn't just some thought experiment. This was their reality.
All right, so where does this all kick off? It starts at the foot of Mount Sinai. This is where a formal covenant, a deal, is made between God and the Israelites. And let me be clear, we are not talking about a casual handshake here.
Yeah, the key word here is absolutely binding. This isn't a friendly list of suggestions. Nope. This is a contract, a divine pact with super clear terms. And as we're about to see, it lays out two, let's just say, very different paths, depending on whether you stick to the deal.
So, before we even get to the good stuff, the rewards, the text lays out the ground rules, the absolute non-negotiables. Things like no idols, observing the Sabbaths. It's all about setting up a foundation of exclusive loyalty and respect. Okay, so let's say the Israelites hold up their end of the bargain. What happens then? Well, if they follow all the rules, the covenant describes a path of just total prosperity. I mean, it sounds almost utopian.
And just look at how all-encompassing this is. It's not just one thing. We're talking about every single part of a successful nation. You've got agricultural abundance, plenty of food, good rain. You've got national security, peace in the land, no threat of war. Even military victory and population growth are on the table. But the real kicker, the absolute peak of all these blessings, is the promise of God's presence with the people.
And this quote right here, it just sums it all up perfectly. A direct personal relationship. It's the ultimate promise of presence and protection. But you know how contracts work. There's always another side to the coin. There are always clauses for what happens if you don't comply.
And this is it. This is the crucial turning point. It's literally a fork in the road with two wildly different destinations. The choice couldn't be clearer. Follow the rules and you get all those blessings we just talked about. But if you don't listen, well, that's a whole different story. A much, much darker one.
So let's talk about that darker path. When the covenant is broken, the consequences aren't just, no more blessings for you. The text makes it sound way more intense than that. It's like an active unleashing of curses, a systematic takedown of all that prosperity we just saw.
And what's so striking is how these punishments are a perfect, terrifying mirror image of the blessings. That agricultural abundance, gone. Now you're planting and your enemies are eating your crops. National security? Nope. Now it's defeat in battle and being ruled by your enemies. And that peace of mind? It's replaced by sudden terror and this deep-seated paranoia.
But here's where it gets truly scary. The punishments. They're not a one-time thing. This isn't a one-and-done deal. The whole structure is designed to escalate if the people just keep ignoring the terms.
Right. The text talks about this escalating series of punishments, each one 7 times over for continued defiance. And that's not literal math, by the way. It's a way of saying things are about to get intensely, terrifyingly worse with each step.
I mean, just follow the progression here. It's chilling. First, the environment itself collapses. The land turns against you. Then society starts to break down. Wild animals are a threat. The roads are empty. After that comes the horror of war, siege, and famine. And the final step? Total ruin. The nation is dissolved, the people are scattered. It is a complete systematic collapse from the ground up.
And this one line from the text, it just shows the absolute rock bottom of this collapse. It's a statement of such unimaginable desperation, where the most basic, fundamental human bonds are just shattered by hunger and horror. It's the ultimate sign of a society that has completely come apart at the seams.
And even for the survivors, it's not over. The physical horror might be past, but the psychological torment? That continues. The trauma is so deep that the sound of a single leaf blowing in the wind is enough to make them run in terror. There is just no peace anywhere.
So after all of that, total ruin, exile, unimaginable suffering, you have to ask, is that it? Is the deal just broken forever? Or does this contract have one last final clause? Maybe an escape hatch?
And believe it or not, despite how incredibly severe all that was, the text doesn't end with total destruction. It actually ends with a path to restoration. There is a way back. But of course, there are conditions.
Yeah, getting back isn't automatic. It requires some very specific steps. First, they have to confess. They have to acknowledge what they did wrong. Then, they have to humble themselves to accept the punishment as just. And it's only after that, the text says, that God will remember that original covenant, the one made with their ancestors.
And this is maybe the most crucial point of all. Even in the absolute worst-case scenario, in the land of their enemies, the covenant itself is declared unbreakable, at least from God's side. The relationship can be repaired. The punishments, as horrible as they are not the final word. The door is never permanently locked.
And that kind of leaves us with this final thought, doesn't it? This whole structure, laws, blessings for following them, and consequences for breaking them, it's a really powerful template. So how do you see the echoes of this ancient idea playing out today? You know, in our modern concepts of law, or justice, or even national identity? It's definitely something to think about.